Hey Anthony, my name's Lauren Melodic. I am an engineer and I got your questions from your teacher and I'm sorry that I'm late. As you can see, I'm currently in the middle of a big construction project that is the first time I've ever doing something like this. So I just wanted to get back to you and make sure I answered some of your questions. So I see that you're interested in sustainability. I'm just going to read your questions about different energy and how buildings use energy, and I thought I could add some good knowledge to your good teacher, Haley. So, how do you use clean energy? So, when you hear the word clean or green energy, people usually refer to what's known as renewables. So, we're not going to run out of it, it's pretty unlimited. And usually or conventionally in the past, we would burn fossil fuels like oil and gas and coal that would create steam, and that steam would be enough pressure to turn a big turbine. And that turbine would then get us electricity that helps us power our TVs and lights and everything we use in our daily life. But we found out, and you probably know, that fossil fuels like the coal, gas, and oil are not renewable. So that means we're going to run out of them. There's only so many of them, and it's taken millions and millions of years for that oil to get produced naturally. So if we're going to run out of them, and we also know that burning fossil fuels are bad because it creates really bad pollutants for the environment that make it hard to breathe. It also heats up our atmosphere. I'm sure you've probably heard of global warming and climate change. And so really what we want to do is make sure the planet is healthy and that we are going to be healthy and that our future kids and their kids can also be healthy and they can also have enough resources so they can live their daily life as easily as we live our daily life, and make sure when they turn a light switch on, they get a light as well. So the alternative to burning those bad fossil fuels are renewables. And you should think of renewables as everyday life. You see them in nature. You feel them. You see the sun, it's bright. It's so bright that it can generate energy. The wind blows so strong that it can turn a turbine. So if these are naturally occurring every day, we see them, we feel them, maybe we can use that energy instead of burning fossil fuels. So that's what clean energy means. And so when we build these big wind turbines or solar PV photovoltaic arrays, the arrays, they absorb the sun's energy and convert it into actual useful energy that can go into our homes and power our light bulbs. The same thing with wind. The wind naturally blows and turns a big turbine or a big windmill, and that also generates clean energy. And so that's what we mean by clean energy. The fact that it's not going to pollute our atmosphere, it's not going to make it harder to breathe, future generations and our kids to support themselves, and we're not going to run out of it. So hopefully we'll see more and more of a transition towards that type of energy. And how do we use the energy in a very similar way, right? Whether it comes from burning coal or it comes from wind, we use them in the same way, but the way that they're produced or created, one is better than the other. And as you've probably guessed, the clean one that will help our future generations survive is the better one. But at the end of its path, where our light switch is, they do the same thing, but one is healthier and better than our coal and burning our fossil fuels. So the effect of clean energy is what I mentioned. We're not going to run out of it. Healthier kids. Our waters are going to stay a cool temperature. It's not going to get too hot in the summer, too cold in the winter, and the earth will just perform as it naturally can, because there's only one Earth. There's no planet B, right? We only have one Earth for now until maybe we go to Mars. But for now, I think we should protect the only home that we got. Storing clean energy, that is a big challenge. So that is one of the biggest challenges known to man and woman. Now, if we were able to store energy and it wasn't expensive, I might not have a job doing what I do, because that would solve almost every problem with clean energy. Because the sun doesn't shine at night, and sometimes the wind doesn't blow strong enough to generate energy when we need it. And that makes a problem, because at night, if I need to turn a light on to go to the washroom, what if there's no sun, and what if I don't have energy? So you're right, we do need to store energy, and it's really, really hard to do that. So the original way, and still the best way to this day, is at nighttime. What we do is we pump water up a big hill, and then during the day, that water runs down the hill and turns a turbine to get us energy. So that's one way to store energy. There's other types like batteries, and I mean big, big batteries, which is another good option, but they're really, really expensive to build and maintain and to operate. So storing energy is one of the biggest problems. And where can you use clean energy? Everywhere. That's one of the best parts about it. If you're living in the middle of nowhere, in the mountains, or in a deserted island, you can bring your own wind turbine, you can bring your own solar PV photovoltaic array, and you can generate your own energy. So you don't need to be near a big coal, oil, or gas plant. You can generate it yourself. So that's a really, really big, big benefit to clean energy. How do we influence people to get into clean energy? Just like this. Just like I'm telling you how it works and why it's healthier and better for the earth and us and the future. If we can just keep on letting people know about that, well, they're going to start to understand. Because if we run out of all those fossil fuels like coal and oil, well, we're not going to have any energy or any electricity. So really, eventually, clean energy will be the only option that we have. So we should already start to make the transition, which we're doing, but slowly. We should be a little bit faster. Also, the more educated we can get students and young professionals, well, the more interested they're going to get into clean energy. And hopefully we'll get a lot of smart people like you in that field who can make clean energy, ways to generate that clean energy, a lot cheaper and more efficient. And what do I do for work? So there's really two sides of energy, right? The one we've been talking about all day is how we produce it. So from coal, oil, gas, to nuclear, to wind, tidal, geothermal, and wind and solar power. Those are all ways to generate energy. I operate on the other side of that, where you use energy. So one of the big things that I'm doing in this house is trying to make it more energy efficient. And if we all can use less energy together, and our buildings can use less energy, because believe it or not, our buildings are the biggest energy sucker. They consume the most energy of anything in the world. If we can have all of our buildings use a little bit less, then we don't need as much energy overall. So that's the great plan of attack right off the bat. So what I do is I go around to different buildings, and I go around to a lot of different students and people like yourself, but a little bit older, and I teach them how they can make their buildings more efficient. So that's like putting insulation here, using LED light bulbs that last for a very long time and use very little energy, making more energy efficient heating furnaces and air conditioning systems. So if I can get everybody to use a little less energy, then it's going to be a lot easier to transition towards clean energy. So I'm going to send this video to you, and I hope it has some really good information and you can learn a lot from it. And you should thank your teacher, because she went above and beyond to find me. And thanks a lot, Anthony. Great question.